The DLC saved Pokemon Sword and Shield. Or at least that's what I thought when it came out. Today, 5 years later, I'm revisiting the Isle of Armor and Crown Tundra through the lens of a Nuzlocke to see how it holds up. However, I won't be catching a single Pokemon myself. My name is William Bradford I, and every Pokemon will be handed to me for free. Just like this win. Our first gift of many is Gab the Grookey. I was gonna choose Sobble for the first time, but Gab just really spoke to me. And since I'm wrongfully only given one Pokemon here, Hop's second battle gives me a little bit of a scare with his Rookity. Maybe that's why I was gonna pick Sobble. You might think that I went overkill with our level, but I actually went the appropriate amount of kill. While we're here though, I just gotta say I love the color theory in this game. At least when I'm not in the wild area. Speaking of, the wild area is where my next gift awaits. And you guys better appreciate me. I opened up Let's Go Eevee to activate this. Because I have any bit of save data on this account, Wrap the Eevee is gifted from these weirdly capitalist siblings. Normally this would be my last gift for a while, but my armor pass says otherwise. All I have to do to get there is catch the Slowpoke. Actually, I'll just weaken it and let this guy catch it instead. Look at that, I can give too. Upon entering the Isle of Armor, the same guy from a moment ago rudely battles me. At first he doesn't seem to be an issue, but I'm very quickly reminded that Abra has a higher special attack stat than Mew. Not kidding. It's a really good thing I landed Razor Leaf. Gab won't do much damage against the Slowpoke overall, but any bit of chip is nice and blasted! And a crit too, oh wow. Wrap then flawlessly clutches up the fight with Swift Spam. By the way, Avery is the warm-up fight, so yeah, I'm actually pretty terrified to fight Mustard. But I can prolong meeting him because I first meet the DLC equivalent of Santa. Diglett here has lost 150 Diglett around the whole island, and with my light assistance, he'll gift me multiple Pokemon after I find his. Luckily I have this map that I made when I hit this map of common Diglett hangout spots. I only need to find 30 Digletts before I get 3 whole Alolan forms. And a Slowpoke. I intended on prolonging the introductions of IOU, Card, Shop, and Exchange, but again, Mustard is a rather cumbersome fight. And immediately, most of my worries completely dissipate, because Exchange apparently comes with a King's Rock. I'll gladly take a Slowking, no problem. IOU also evolves as he only needs a high friendship stat, and you know what? I'll say it. Alolan Persian's head should be bigger. I'd also love to evolve Wrap the Eevee, but that redacted icon stops any and all evolutions for him. Mustard scared me originally because his lead is a base 85 attack Mienfoo, with moves like Fake Out, Force Palm, and U-Turn. Considering that coverage, I've had to pull some tricks, and IOU is great for that. I would use Fake Out, but since Mienfoo is immune thanks to Inner Focus, we attack with IOU's Play Rough that we got from a lucky TR. The wild area could be a magical place. What isn't lucky is that we miss our first attack. This opens IOU up to getting hit by Force Palm, but because we don't get paralyzed, the next one will surely land and... Huh? It lived? Wow, I was really excited to show off Alolan Persian. All these Diglett gifts have their hidden abilities, so not having Fur Coat was really bad. Exchange tags in, so they U-turn out to Shinx. The little cub couldn't take the Razor Leaf from Gab, and Exchange's Regenerator helps her recover just enough to survive the final 2 U-turns and take them out. Dude, I can't believe Play Rough didn't do it. This officially begins our training under Mustard. Not that I need it. And my first task is to chase down these Slowpoke. But man, they've got feet. You know, I actually could catch them. I'm just really nice and have decided to let them roam free for a little while longer. In the meantime, we're back in Galar, where fights against both Hop and Bead await.
Ow! I'm so sorry, baby. I meant to strike the other one.
Lately, I've become a pretty big fan of the anime rule for gyms, where you match their Pokemon count. In this game, that makes Dynamaxing way tougher to deal with, so I make a very brief turnaround back to the DLC to get more Diglett. Uprooting just over 100 Diglett hairs, and skipping over the gifts that are overleveled, from above the Rowlet is our only new gamer. Oh! Ew, is that water green? Card proves to be a great lead against Milo, as she one-shots Gossifleur with a brutal Ice Beam. Yeah, it was a TR in the wild area. Just assume all of the good moves we have are from there from now on. Eldegoss is a little more threatening with Dynamax, and while I'd love for Card to sweep, her defense just isn't enough. The best she could do is stall out a turn with Protect, and let From Above enter to continue that stalling. It would have been nice if he didn't hover over the terrain and avoid the healing thanks to his flying type, but that very typing is what lets him survive and makes him a shoo-in for the shoo-win. This one lady on Route 5 shortly after burdens me with the miracle of parenthood. Okay, I guess. My track record is pretty much 100%. Then, in order to finally get the bike, I take care of a couple Team Yell Grunts. Man, couldn't have this guy taken a page from the baby lady? The bike should be free! Actually, he should have paid me. With that, I finally catch the 3 Quick Poke, obliterating them all with Exchange. The first Mustard trial is complete, which earns me only 1 of 2 Kanto starters. I choose Squirtle because I'm pretty sure Bulbasaur is in like every other Nuzlocke on this channel. Yo, Drip? I didn't know he was chill like that. My second trial requires me to find some max mushrooms, and I do. Pretty easily, I might add. But Avery wants some for himself. Exchange actually just sweeps him with Shadow Ball this time. You know, I really wanted to show off the DLC a little bit better. I can't help that I'm him. We get back, and the max soup is made with Avery's mushrooms. And now Mustard wants the 2 of us to have a crazy battle. Avery rushes onto the battlefield, but I'm gonna take a break and get another gym badge. Oh, that was pretty easy actually. It's kind of a shame that in the ultimate battle, Exchange just sweeps again. Shadow Ball does great work against his first 3 psychic types. When he sends out the Dynamax Slowbro to use a special attack boosting Max Ooze, Shop absorbs it for free. Immunities are amazing for dealing with Dynamax. Pivoting back and forth again with Exchange's Regenerator heals her even more, and once the Kaiju turns are over, Shadow Ball finishes the fight. With my Mustard trials complete, I'm finally gifted the armor of the dojo, and it's so cute! Cubfu is its name? Actually, it's giving. There are a couple more rival fights before the next gym, but, you know. Ow! Looking at our full roster, you may notice a problem. Kofu's fire types have a very advantageous matchup against just about all of my Pokemon. I've got 2 water types, but besides that, all I have is a bunch of babies. Giving has yet to reach his full potential. Same goes for Magi. A luxury ball? And then there's Rap. You notice anything different about him? You see, those max mushrooms I picked up earlier were made into a max soup, and that cured my little Fennec Fox of the G-Max disease. You'd think Flareon would be my favorite with how much it appears in these runs, but it fits just what I need most often, oddly enough. The thing is, I need to check for Centiskorch, and as badly as I wanted Espeon this time, it would have just died to everything. Because Kabu's other 2 Pokemon have coverage for Exchange, I lead with her against the Ninetales. Sadly, they're almost guaranteed turn 1 Will-O-Wisp lands, and I was kind of betting on the miss, with the follow-up kill from the Mystic Water boosted Scald. Yeah, the vibe calcs were a little off. She could get the kill on the next Pokemon, but thanks to the extra chip damage taken, Yawn is the only thing that we get to use on Arcanine. Protect stalls for sleep, letting Ed come in for free. Or at least on paper, because they wake up turn 1 and land yet another Willow. Ed's leftovers are negated now, so that sucks. Regardless, Ed also comes prepared with Scald, so Arcanine was just on borrowed time. Ed's bulky enough to stall an extra turn of G-Max with Protect, but that's about it now thanks to the burn. Rap comes out instead to eat the Max Flutterby, and before they land another one, we land a Charm. That hasty nature sure is a mixed bag. With that, the next attack does barely anything, and once they get small, we're safe to Charm yet again. With them at -4 attack, Ed is completely safe to return, eventually getting his first win. If you guys are enjoying the video so far, then please consider leaving a like and subscribe if you aren't already. I usually don't do this whole spiel as I'm afraid of ruining the video's flow, but I kind of owe it to myself to do this every now and then, and I want this passion to take off. Thank you! The major hurdle of the early game is hurdled, and now with the level cap skyrocketing a whole 9 levels, the squad gets a major upgrade. First off, I could finally add 3 of the Diglett Man's gifts into the rotation, being Registry of the Raichu, Economy the Marowak, and Bag the Executor. Economy almost completely outclasses Rap, which is why I was hesitant to choose Flareon, but oh well. We also get a bunch of evolutions. Gab from above, Magi, and Ed all evolve via level up, while Card and Shop can evolve with the help of the Digging Duo's Ice Stones. It just took set 1,000 watts to find them. Oh, I even pick up this Crime Against God. It's one of my favorites. All that's left is poor little Giving. In order for Giving to evolve like everybody else, he's required to take on the Tower of Doom. Or rather, the Tower of Water of Darkness. That'll be a solo mission, and to make sure that Giving is fully prepared, we're gonna Eevee train. Even with the Macho Brace doubling our Eevee gain, it's a lot of grinding. And I'm William Bradford. I have places to be. By carefully picking which raids to do in the Isle of Armor, I'm rewarded with Armorite. Every 7 Armorite gives me an opportunity to gamble with Digging Paw, and he drastically increases my watt count until he tires out. I spend the ore, and on the first outing, he gets 29,000 watts. The second time, he locks in and screams and gets me 152,000. Then on my third, he screams again, and then again in one go, getting me another 271,000. All for just 21 armorite. That was actually like insanely lucky. The reason I went through all of this was so that I could donate it all. Yeah, that's right, me. Thing is, it's for honey. After donating 400,000, the dojo gets upgraded with a vending machine that gives discounted EV medicine. After buying plenty of supplements with money,
which I have,
and stuffing them into my bear cub, we head to the tower. Given that I already have 3 wonderful water types, I decide to partake in the Tower of Darkness. I'm pretty sure that's Pemdez. With Giving Alone, we take on that challenge, and the first Zora goes down with a single blow. The Scraggy as well couldn't hold a candle to our Brick Break. Inkay is somewhat threatening, being a psychic type, but I guess it didn't have any psychic moves. And without Intimidate, Krokorok didn't stand any chance either, which brings us to the top floor. Mustard is the last challenge, and this time he's awoken a part of his younger self to show me what Kubfu are really made of. Fortunately, we made sure that Giving would outspeed here, as he leads with an aerial ace to start the fight. They reciprocate, but without a crit, the battle is ours, and we pass the test with flying colors. Little Giving is beyond overjoyed, and while already stronger than ever, he bears witness to the Scroll of Darkness and finally evolves into Single Strike Urshifu. Mustard could have just given us that scroll, but honestly, this was pretty fun. And what do you know? Wicked Blow, Wicked Blow, Wicked Blow, Wicked Blow. Our guaranteed crit super effective move just plows through Alistair's ghost types. If they weren't technically dead, they are now. Without my fighting dark type to carry in the fairy gym, I could be in trouble, but I am William Bradford the First, so Opal is no biggie. Registry mind blends the Wheezing, Rap fries the Mawile, Magi zaps the Togekiss, and to combat the G-Max Alcremie, she stays in to use Eerie Impulse, sharply lowering their special attack. Magi then easily gets the knockout a few Sludge Bombs later. I feel bad for excluding Ed here, but at least he put in the work against the gym trainers. Over in Surchester, I finally get to utilize Economy outside of the raid battles, and use his thick club boosted Flame Wheel to one-shot Melanie's Frostmoth and Darmanitan. Kinda weird that they only use status moves. Normally Ice Cube would be a problem for a physical attacker like Economy, but because the hail was already out while they had the Ice Face up to begin with, it doesn't replenish when we break the Ice Face, and she just falls the same. What a weird mechanic. Unfortunately, I didn't plan this out quite right, because the Lapras's Max Geyser was guaranteed to come out in this scenario. And because that move gets rid of the hail and sets the rain, Card won't be able to use the Aurora Veil anymore. Yeah, this was a massive misplay. On top of that, I was getting overconfident and didn't even put Protect on anyone. I need to keep Card alive, so I have no choice but to switch. Rap is oddly the ideal pick, even in this matchup. Special defense is one of his good stats, so as long as he holds out just a little bit, we can dig and... Kid crit. Yikes. I guess it's a wrap? I'm so sorry you had to be a Flareon, little guy. Well, now Card returns, and because the max turns are over, she could safely set up Aurora Veil, which lasts a little bit longer thanks to the Light Clay. I really hate to do it, but I have to pivot to Shop since Card won't be able to survive any further rain-boosted serves. Shop should at least be able to regenerate a little bit with Leech Life while stalling the weather. And you know what? She's actually doing a pretty solid job. That is, until the second untimely crit. Let it be known that Shop did some serious work off-screen. Well, Card is back, and we don't have many choices left. Fortunately, one of our choices is Draining Kiss. Without the rain, that minuscule bit of healing is just enough to keep her alive, letting her finally finish off the Lapras with Dazzling Gleam. In hindsight, Exchange would have been a perfect bring here, defensively and offensively thanks to Power Gem. I often get caught up in trying to showcase every encounter in these videos, and this time it really backfired. You know what? Here, everyone's on screen. This is everyone's moment. Okay? Okay. Got it out of my system.
Ow! I'm so sorry, baby. I meant to strike the other one.
The fight against Piers is a breather round. Card just about sweeps with her fairy moves. It's actually kinda silly how easy it is. The only thing that stopped Card from sweeping completely is the Skunk Tank, who was dealt with by Gab. I promise you guys, Ed did a great job taking out the grunts. Raihan's double battle format makes his gym fight the toughest. But also the most exciting? I really wish we saw more double battles in this game. That's where Dynamax mechanically shines the most. My strategy for this fight involves taking out the first 3 Pokemon before the G-Max Duraludon can appear. And because of my particular gifts in this run, I get to use a strategy I normally never can. Combo moves. Gab and Ed are the stars of the show, and things have a rocky start thanks to the Flygon getting an immediate para on Ed with Thunder Punch. Once it's our turn, Gab preps his Grass Pledge, and Ed activates Water Pledge. Because Gab went first, Ed ends up using the 150 base power combo Grass Pledge instead. And without stab, the Gigalith somehow barely holds on. The starter exclusive combo envelops the opposing team in a swamp, which will cut their speeds in half for the next 4 turns. Gigalith gets a measly body press off, but I'm just glad it isn't Stealth Rocks. Because the mineral survived the attack, I need to keep Flygon alive for an extra turn so that Duraludon is the only one left when he joins the fight. Either way, Ed can't protect thanks to the para, and Gab finishes off the Gigalith with Drum Beating. Ed does end up getting hit by another Thunder Punch, but at least we have leftovers. Now we go for the double KO, and with the swamp helping us continue to outspeed, Sandaconda gets drummed, and Flygon gets Ice Beamed. That was pretty lucky that we didn't get fully parried again. If Flygon of all things survived and helped out the Duraludon, then this would be dire. But the main skyscraper is here and ready to attack on his own. I figure Ed would be the target, so he protects as Gab gets a massive damage off with high horsepower. Unfortunately, I predicted wrong, and Gab ends up on the receiving end of a max rockfall. Even in the yellow, I don't think Protect would have blocked enough damage, so Giving swaps in. Raihan then goes for his G-Max depletion on Ed. And he lives! In retaliation, he not only powers through the para, but he also lands the Focus Blast of all things. Duraludon is Duraludon, and all 8 badges are earned. For some unknown reason, the level cap only increases by 1 level. So, when hoofing it all the way through Route 10, I use a full team of less utilized gifts. Some of the fights are a little touchy, especially towards the end, but we all hung in there, so that's all that mattered. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed Bag's screen time. When it comes to the Winden Cup, I like to treat it as an actual tournament, where I lock in my team for both the semifinals and the finals. Honestly, the team's looking great, and I'm feeling great. Aside from Bag, but that's besides the point. Oh, got ya! I'll show the fights this time. But still, it's a pretty simple setup. We live in a world where Urshifu just gets better and better over time, and ours easily takes out most of Marty's team with Drain Punch, keeping us alive. But even Giving won't be able to withstand a max Starfall from Grimmsnarl, so Ed is our tank of choice. Hit 1 does under half, we protect hit 2, and he once again tanks hit 3, all while steadily healing with leftovers. Our armed Tortoise attempts to burn them with Scald along the way, but either way, the healthy Gab comes in to finish the fight. Did you guys know that Grimmsnarl only has a base 65 defense? Weird. Alright, there you go, Marty fans. I hope you enjoyed your screen time. Considering we're running through the post-game in this run, this is far from the last time we run into Hop. While I don't want to get in the habit of thinking his fights are easy, this fight is still pretty easy. Don't worry though, I'm not gonna clown on Hop as a character or anything. It's not his fault I have Giving. In the off chance that close combat doesn't one-shot the Snorlax, Giving would for sure get one-shot by Hammer Arm. I switch to Ed and... Okay, Hop? What? Our body press helps me realize that I was overthinking. But hey, it's just a sign that I care. Certificate finally gets an okay matchup while withstanding a few Thunderbolts. Still no Fish's Friend yet, but a couple liquidations will do. Wait, have I even used Magi yet? Oh wait, yeah, I did against Opal. Well, good job again, Magi. That's my daughter, in case anyone forgot. My monkey brain would love to keep her out to defeat Inteleon, but that thing is about to Dynamax, and he has Mudshot. So I look to Gab for a hard counter. You know, I don't usually mind the rival using the starter that's weak to yours. I just think it would have been better with starters like the Sinnoh selection, where the secondary types level the playing field a little bit more. I'm not complaining in the scenario or anything, but it is Icy Wind, I forgot! Gab barely holds on, but the hail will take him out now if Drum Beating doesn't kill. You know, I'm actually writing the script as I go. I genuinely called this fight easy when I started it. Whoops. Good job, Gab. Glad I EV trained you in HP and attack.
Ow! I'm so sorry, baby. I meant to strike the other one.
Gen 8 has had a long time to fester in my brain, and I think I have a couple decent interpretations on what they were going for with Chairman Rose. If I want to be charitable to his character, hey, he's getting up there in the years. If he waits any longer than he already has to solve the energy crisis, he may not have enough time to fix everything. What if it can't be solved in a day? What if he gets too old and the future generations couldn't solve it like he could? Nip it in the bud, as they say. This tournament is literally every year anyways, who cares? My other interpretation, Elon Musk. Wind & Cup finals time. As with before, I'm committing a single team of 6 to this tournament as I would with a real one. And this gauntlet has a hauntingly large variety of threats. I've never gotten through this part deathless, which is why I'm bringing Gab, Exchange, Card, Ed, Giving, and Registry.
Ladies, I'm trying to do my work today. Leave me alone type shift.
Bede was tired of getting smacked around and invaded the Wind & Cup to make up for it. And this fight gets a little off the rails. Ed at least has a great start against the Mawile, but once the Gardevoir sets up Calm Mind, heals with Wish, and gets a crit, I'm scared. Luckily I have Card, who is barely bulky enough to take a couple hits before setting up the Aurora Veil. Giving is now free to absorb the Psychic, and outspeeds to finish off the Gardevoir with Wicked Blow. Rapidash was, not far behind. Aurora Veil only comes into play against the G-Max Hatterene. This is where Exchange enters and gets confused by G-Max Spite. Oops, I had no idea that's what it did. Because of the confusion, we aren't able to protect the following turn, but the Citrus Berry and following Protect safely stalls the G-Max after all. From there, I try to apply some damage, but Exchange hurts herself in confusion again while they set up Calm Mind. Oh no. Have you seen this thing's special attack stat? I'd love to switch out and keep Exchange safe, but I don't have the luxury of doing that right now. I have to stay in and apply some pressure. And she does! Then we get hit by a hard Dazzling Gleam. However, because they would never go for Psychic on a Psychic type, Gab is practically free to tag in and retaliates with a faster, stronger drum beating. I always have trouble with endgame Veed, I don't really get it. Nessa's Golisopod is just about guaranteed to use First Impression, but Registry is free to evade it with Protect. Thunderbolt, down. Thunderbolt, down. This thing has Throat Chop and Droll Run, so Ed helps out for a second. But Pelipper? Oops, that's another Thunderbolt. We're threatened a little bit by G-Max Dreadnought, but thanks to his suboptimal move pool, he doesn't stand a chance against Gab's, you guessed it, drum beating. And listen, do I even need to say it? This isn't the rematch Alistair was hoping for. It's a Wicked Blow Button simulator. Okay, yeah, maybe I shouldn't have allowed Kubfu since he's technically a legendary, but if I didn't, could I really say I incorporated the DLC in this run? He's like half of the Isle of Armor story. And I know I'm not saying anything new here, but Raihan's second fight is way easier. For some reason, he's hellbent on setting a new weather condition any chance he gets, which really hinders his threat level. Aside from giving Exchange a Rindo Berry, I mostly just had to rock, paper, scissors this fight. It really is such a shame that the game's moved away from double battles, even if it's their main competitive format. I don't know the general consensus on their usage in the Indigo Disc DLC, but I liked it, and I hope it's proof that they're making their way back into the games, because these kinds of approachable single battles can only get so engaging, you know? As always, the climax of the tournament gets interrupted by the climax of the plot. And man, when I played these games the first time, I could not care less about it. Not because of the lack of build-up, but because I was so hyped to fight Leon. Economy uses his Thick Club boosted Flare Blitzes to sweep Chairman Rose. I didn't have to worry about recoil at all thanks to his Rockhead ability. Neat. I'm just glad it's over with. Fun fact, I was spoiled Eternatus when the game came out. Every time little 2019 me hosted a raid, almost every person who joined used one. I'm still bitter. Anyways, Economy and Exchange team up on the Eternatus, and the almost Digimon dogs do all of the work in the raid fight. The day is saved, and I just kind of watched. Now, you might be wondering why I'm back in the Isle of Armor. You see, there's a secret boss here that I need to challenge before facing Leon. If and only if I bring my total dojo Watt donations up to 1 million, I unlock a secret battle against Honey. With the combo of free Armorite from Digging Maw and trading them for Watts with Digging Paw, it's only a matter of time before I reach the 1 million mark. And by only a matter of time, I mean several days, because Digging Maw broke her shovel so many times, and my 10-minute lapse of the Isle finding her often resulted in nothing. Also, Digging Paw wasn't as good this time around. You could blame them for the video's delay. Oh my golly, she is scary. Without any exaggeration, Honey could be considered one of the best champions if she just so happened to be a champion. Her team is well balanced and the ace is deadly. Blissey is up first, and I'm only able to deal with her so easily due to my prep. Good heavens, look at that experience. Gallade poses the threat of Leaf Blade, and even though we're very bulky, I don't want to push it. Gab easily absorbs the hit, and on the next turn, they set up a scary Swords Dance. But it's not that scary because our signature drum beating lowers their speed, opening them up to being knocked out immediately after. The Togekiss does Togekiss stuff, Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, the like, but Exchange is my special wall. I'm starting to believe that these enemy trainers are EV training their Pokemon because it takes a good several turns of Power Gem to finally do the trick. Fortunately, Exchange still has the Regenerator ability, which will be utilized right away in front of the Guerrilla Tactics Darmanitan. Yeah, I'm not that aloof. Just a reminder, that ability is essentially a free choice band. Instead, Ed returns on the Scouted Earthquake and... Huh? Oh, that was a crit? Well, our leftovers let us safely live even a second crit, opening up the path for Ed to knock out the Darm with a body press. Really? On this defense stat? Okay, I really hate to risk the crit here. I don't even know if we live the attack anyways, but I really don't have anyone else who could tank it. I have to put all of my faith in Ed here to make this work. And he lives! The Darmanitan is eliminated. With Exchange regenerated, she's good to switch into the Salazzle. We may get poisoned in the process, but a single Psyshock is all it takes to end the slaying Salamander's run. Now enter the Ace. And this isn't just any Ace. This is the little Bulbasaur from the beginning that I left to rot. This Terrarius Toad has a bone to pick with me, and I immediately get outplayed. I figured that they would go for G-Max Vine Lash as it's super effective, but lo and behold, it was actually a Max Ooze to immediately raise their special attack. Honey is going for the sweep. I'd probably still protect on the first turn anyways, but now I need to pivot. With a Vine Lash now clearly on its way, I put Economy on its receiving end. He doesn't have the Assault Vest, but he resists and has a plus special defense nature, if that's anything. The Venusaur's two vines swing up in the air, only to swing down even harder on Economy, who handily lives the attack. Unfortunately, I'm not safe to use Protect, because the lingering vines do exactly 1/6 damage to us every turn. I'm predicting they'll max Quake off of Earth Power, so the fully regenerated Exchange rejoins to absorb the hit. However, I was correct in my assessment, and she tanks the third and final turn of G-Max. Now we could get something going. I really wanted to try a new strategy with Cart. While farming berries, I found a new one called the Moringa Berry that raises your special defense after getting hit by a special attack. Unfortunately, the Energy Ball did way too much to us to begin with, so after protecting to stall out the final turn of Vine Lash, I need to switch again. The plan was obviously to set up the Aurora Veil, but I was way too hopeful. Giving has been saved for this moment, and is at least holding the one Assault Vest. This held item makes his bulk almost as good as cards, and we've seen firsthand that it isn't quite enough. We will outspeed, so what it comes down to is whether or not we can actually get the one-shot. If we can't, then at the very least, I'll be losing my Armor of the Dojo. Either way, our back is against the wall, and there's only one play to make. Giving charges up everything he's got and slams into the Venusaur with Wicked Blow, which turns out to be just as wicked as we needed, and Honey is defeated, dodging any and all deaths. Genuinely, Honey is a surprisingly difficult fight. With a slightly different setup, she could have easily erased several of my regalos. But it was super fun. The build-up was nice too, with her saying she's equal to Mustard in strength. The hype and weight almost rivaled Leon's in my opinion, and with him next in line, let's see if he's still got it. I do have reason to believe he does. After all, he's the only one of Mustard's students to graduate from the Master Dojo. Other than me. I was able to pass all of the trials he could and more. Leon got lost on his search and made his way to becoming the champion of the Galar region instead. As you could tell, his time was not wasted. But now I'm here to claim that title. This won't just be the finale of the Winden Championship, but also a showdown between two star students with no hurdles left but each other. And I don't plan on tripping. Leon's Aether Slash is a lead that often requires carefully crafted counterplay. However, Giving utilizes his Unseen Fist ability, letting him Wicked Blow all the way through their King Shield. I almost forgot we could do that. Giving could probably get away with staying in, even with the threat of the Seismitoad's Drain Punch, but the smart play is to let Gab handle the job, and handle it he does. Similar to Honey's Venusaur, Leon's Cinderace has a bone to pick with me. If it also Gigantamaxed, we would be in a lot of trouble here, but Ed is very bulky and eats up all of their hits. Regrettably, I didn't equip Surf, and Scald barely misses out on the kill. By the time Cinderace goes down, Ed has ended up taking a little too much damage, so we won't have a chance to use him against Charizard anymore. As the secondary ace, Dragapult comes out and threatens with a nasty Thunderbolt. And he even ends up delivering by landing a crit on Certificate. And to my dismay, our speed investment and Choice Scarf still aren't enough for Certificate to outspeed, and they end up on the receiving end of Dragon Breath. And barely hold on! The Strong Jaw Crunch is more than enough to take out the Pseudo, but now we won't be able to use the boosted Vicious Rend on Charizard. I'm running low on options for him. Haxorus is basically foaming at the mouth to use Outrage. That makes Card completely safe to switch, who also happens to outspeed and get the OHKO with Blizzard. Phew. Now against Leon's infamous Gigantamax Charizard and their G-Max Wildfire, I have 3 options. I can switch, set up Aurora Veil, or Protect. Switching would for sure save Card, but stalling the G-Max turns would get awkward. I could set up Aurora Veil and maybe live the attack, but the Wildfire chip would very likely finish us off. I end up Protecting as that diminishes the max move's damage by a whopping 75%. Card takes it like a champ. With another Wildfire on the way, Exchange is in the clear to switch in, and she not only eats the move for breakfast, but also the max overgrowth thanks to Protect. Now with the help of Leftovers and Grassy Terrain healing, we're in a pretty decent position. Charizard is more than likely going to use Air Slash, and while we can live that, a flinch would just about ruin my day. Unfortunately, my 2 remaining healthy Pokemon are weak to flying, so Exchange has to exchange one more hit with Charizard here. But they use Ancient Power? My Regal Water Sloth fires back with the better of 2 Rock-type moves and shreds through Charizard's remaining HP. Leon is fully defeated, marking me not only as the victor of the Winden Championship Cup and Mustard Star Student, but also the winner of the base game. Honestly, Honey was tougher. I know this video is getting pretty long as is, but we've still got a handful of DLC-shaped tasks to complete. Why is that so hard to say? DLC-shaped tasks. Don't get me wrong, especially in the Crown Tundra, there's plenty of content remaining. However, there isn't a lot that fits into the scope of a Nuzlocke video. You'll know what I mean in a second. But first, our repertoire of gifted buddies expands yet again. Yeah, there's more. A Pokeball is just lying on the floor in Hop's house. Don't mind if I do. I gladly name him Tex and keep it going. At the base of the battle tower, I get another shot at running Type Null. This one's name is Horse, and I don't think I'll be evolving them. Eviolite goes brazy. And after collecting each and every one of the remaining Diglett in the Isle of Armor, I obtained the final, ultimate, last gift from Diglett Man. Diglett. I definitely did not forget about Gag. Nope, no sir. Before any more DLC, Sword and Shield technically already have post-game content. A lot of the turmoil involves Swordward and Shieldbird, and they're rather under-leveled Pokemon. It's balanced as if I never leveled up to match Leon's A's, so maybe we're not supposed to? Oops. I mean, like, check this out. Ow! There are even a couple rematches against Hop and Bede, the new Battle&Leia gym leader. Ow! The real meat of this arc lies in the wild Dynamax battles. Not so much the few where I have help, though they do have some neat moments. For real though, these were programmed in. Why wasn't it in the main game? They could have used it. Specifically, the threat comes from the battles where I don't have any backup. The first is against a rogue Dusknoir. Oh no, it just got Wicked Blowed out of the air. I could do the same for Frostlass, but instead I let Certificate use his Choice Scarf to enable Vicious Rend to take her out. Good job, my little abomination. Haxorus is arguably the scariest, thanks to its added HP from Dynamax fixing a lot of the problems Haxorus has. Luckily, he was still walled by Ed before Card switches in for free on Max Whirlwind and swipes up the kill using Blizzard. All of this is so I could catch a box legendary, but big catching challenge aside, it's mainly so I could battle Hop at his full potential. And by full potential, I mean he has Zacian now. Thanks to my earlier battle with Hop at the start of the epilogue, I learned that I could confidently sweep most of his team with Certificate. Choice Scarf and Vicious Rend really is a nasty combo. You know what? I think Hop could have used a fossil Pokemon too. Give him Dracozolt or something, that'd be cool. Zacian is the only mon that I truly need to worry about here. Intrepid Sword boosting Behemoth Blade, Close Combat, Wild Charge, and Crunch sent shivers down my spine. But the fact that it doesn't have Play Rough inspired some hope in me that Certificate could trade at least one hit. Even with the Choice Scarf though, we are not outspeeding their base 148 speed. So I tense up as they send a Close Combat. And Certificate tanks it! Base Power Vicious Rend does very substantial damage thanks to their defense drops, but I'm not trying to lose anyone, so I'm for sure switching. Because Close Combat is their go-to, and Ed has even more reliable bulk, I tag him in as Zacian just lowers their defenses again. While using Protective Scout, I can tell that they're taking the bait and going for Wild Charge now. So, as my only ground type, my Gag gift now switches in for free in front of the only Pokemon occupying the Anything Goes tier. While Alolan Dugtrio has a slight nerf to its base speed, Gag at least has a plus speed nature in addition to our EV training. In terms of outspeeding this outstanding legendary, Gag is my only shot. And to mark the debut of all debuts, Gag outspeeds Zacian, getting a clean KO with Earthquake. If Gag did so happen to die, I would have had Giving come in with his Focus Sash to swipe up the kill. But that was only the backup option. Switching him in outright and breaking the Sash would have been risky, because then I'd have to rely on the resisted Sucker Punch to get the win. But we got the best case scenario from that. GG's Hop, your character arc is actually kinda nice. So, the Crown Tundra is where I would say the content leaves the scope of a typical Nuzlocke. There aren't too many battles before the grand finale, but the story is fun at least. As soon as I enter the second DLC, I'm frame 1 intertwined in a father-daughter quarrel. I get to battle Peony in all of his charisma, but he's going easy on me and only uses 2 Pokemon. With the flamethrower and a couple body presses, we reach the battle's quick conclusion. But Nia, Peony's daughter, was even quicker and ran away! Before long, I find her in the max lair, where I don't get any shinies by the way, and she tells me to be the new surrogate daughter. Alright, I'm not doing anything I guess. After returning and finding out that Peony got a concussion, we head off to our adventure, or Adventure as he calls it. That adventure begins in Freezington, where I get introduced to a very unflattering statue of Calyrex and become the Chief of Exploration. That basically means I'm doing all of the work, but what else is new? Step 1 of my Adventure involves me taking Peony's new favorite pillow and reattaching it to the statue. No, that can't be what the legendary looks like. No, that's not right either. In an attempt to put this poor creature out of its misery, I have Tax use a stab flamethrower. But the thing is resilient and starts talking to me like some sort of skinwalker. Then it takes over Peony like some sort of vampire? That's what they do, right? I sell sinners. What follows can basically be summed up as a jumble of mini-quests filled with cute character writing and fun character acting. Simply showing it off in this video wouldn't do it justice. Eventually, I end up planting some carrot seeds in a particularly frosty field and... Oh wow, maybe this is a box art legendary. A carrot is born, and maybe I pulled it out too early because Calyrex's steed just completely misses us. Or at least that's what I thought before it started rampaging in the only town in the sub-region. Horses can be scary. And that lesson almost gets engraved into my soul when Tax's flamethrower doesn't knock him out. And the retaliatory avalanche does the same to us. Well, good thing I stopped getting punished ages ago. And even though he was defeated in battle, Glastrier goes after an old lady as a last resort. What a menace. Luckily Calyrex steps in to stop him, but he gets away regardless. In order to track Glastrier down and tame it, with some horsehair and a Calyrex petal, Peony the goat crafts the items into a set of Reigns of Unity, and we head to Crown Shrine. It's a long journey filled with beautiful scenery, and awaiting me at the peak of the mountain is the long-forgotten royal throne. I gently place the bait by Glastrier's bed. It doesn't take long before he excitedly runs up to enjoy the meal, but right when it's finished, Calyrex dashes over to mount the steed, and debuts another nightmarish VGC mon. For his first trick, he makes Peony disappear. How does he do that? But in response, I one-up him and make 2 Pokemon disappear. Wow! And that's the Crown Tundra DLC, or at least the main story. While there is plenty of content remaining, it pretty much boils down to legendary hunts. And don't get me wrong, it's a great time, but none of it really adds anything to a Nuzlocke. The Galarian Star Tournament is locked behind the birds and Reggies being captured, but it's largely repeat content with Hop on my team, who has not only a Gmax Inteleon, but also crowned Zacian. So yeah, I bet you can imagine how that'd go. But there is still one massive challenge left for me. Upon returning to the Isle of Armor, I find Hop in the Master Dojo, where we both learn that Giving can Gigantamax. We'll never know for sure what it looks like, because I'm not doing that, but it's Master's penultimate quest. Nothing I can do about it, falls his orders. The quest for the max soup ingredient puts me in a wild goose chase, and a wild goose herding, until I find the very ingredient I need, guarded by a Dynamaxed Vespiquen. Oh boy, did I think this would be easy. Magi was my lead so that she could do massive damage to the bug flying type, while resisting all of her moves. Unfortunately, Toxtricity just isn't a bulky Pokemon. Who knew? I'd alleviate some of the stress by tanking hits and dishing them back with an Ice Beam and a Freeze. But the Monolithic Bee just shakes it off frame 1. Unlucky. After taking a scary amount of damage from the bug moves, I figured this would be a great time to switch in Tax. But I figured wrong. Hey, at least it isn't Max Airstream. This mini boss is level 80 by the way. My plan was to Hail Mary and Inferno in hopes of getting a burn, but I see that was a mistake. I genuinely thought that these three would be fine on their own. Now I'm paying the price. Certificate's Vicious Wrens might save me, but only with a free switch-in. And we all know that free switch-ins aren't always free. Sadly, after all this time without a death, it looks like someone will have to take the fall. And that someone ends up being Magi. Magi? Wait, what did I say earlier? It breaks my heart to send her out to die like this, but... Defend order? Okay. Magi gets one last overdrive off before Vespiquen uses Defend order again? Okay. Theoretically, all we need is a crit at this point, and it's not entirely unlikely. Magi's entire life lies in the hands of fate, barely holding on with the help of our Black Sludge. She has one last chance at landing a crit here, but misses out and gets eviscerated by a max Flutterby, only barely. I thought this kind of loss was far behind me, but it turns out that even with how far I've come, no win is free. It has to be earned. I'm in a little bit of a bind now that the Dynamax Pokemon has boosted her bulk, but Giving was prepared for this. Wicked Blow completely ignores those boosts, and while it doesn't finish her off, he's at least holding the Focus Sash. By living any hit at least once, a second Wicked Blow is guaranteed, and barely defeats the Titan. Thanks for the help, Hop. Upon returning to the dojo for the last time, Mustard wastes no time. He says I'm ready for our final battle, where he will no longer be holding back. He trained the strongest champion in Galar history, and Leon never even made it to this point. My team and I have earned all of our accomplishments up to now, and it's time that we prove it. The very Mienshao who took out the first life of this run is the lead, and predictably, they start with Fake Out. No reason not to, but Certificate's Choice Scarf hasn't left them, and Vicious Wren obliterates our first opponent a turn later. I won't be able to sweep this time, as Kimono is next and ready to resist the attack. Instead, Card switches in, and it was actually free thanks to the attack being a Dragon type. Dazzling Gleam tears through Komodo, making a very clear pathway for Mustard's Corviknight to come in. But that only means Certificate can come back out, even if Ironhead wasn't resisted. Once again, a fast Vicious Wren takes out the Corviknight. Now, with the Luxray, I'm pretty sure we could still get the kill, even after being intimidated. However, there is zero reason to risk getting hit by Play Rough, so Gag tags in. He does some chip damage with Rocky Helmet, and finishes the job with an immediate Earthquake that shakes the entire arena. Mustard is running out of options, and it shows when his Lycanroc comes out next. Our plus speed nature allows us to outspeed even the dog, and they get low diffed by another Earthquake. Suddenly, all that's left is Mustard's Gigantamax Rapid Strike Urshifu, but arguably, that's all he needs. My strategies for these behemoths, when I couldn't one-shot them, involved me stalling out the G-Max turns with Protect. Sadly, just like mine, this Urshifu will ignore the Protects and attack through everything. Given his moveset, I had two ways that I could have prepared and predicted. And because he has a signature water-type attack, I figured that the G-Max Rapid Flow would be their go-to. But when Gab switches in on what would have been a resisted hit, we instead tank a Max Knuckle from close combat. And the Urshifu's monstrous attack stat increases by one stage. One last lesson from Mustard. He likely only uses Rapid Flow against opposing Dynamax Pokemon. I bet everything on them attacking differently. And maybe if I brought one of my ghost types instead of Ed or something, then I could have played around this better, but then I wouldn't have had the bulkiest boy Ed on the team. And that just seemed like a throw at the time. At the very least, Gab baits Max Ooze off of Poison Jab, and I can switch to Gag who absorbs it for free, just like we did against Avery. Unfortunately from here, there's only one option left, and it's not a fun one. From the very beginning, Gag has been watching over our journey, helping provide teammate after teammate to help us prosper, all concluding with him. We both knew that it may come to this, but this lesson isn't new. Gag goes down swinging. He's faster than Mustard's Guardian Deity and burrows underground. While they can attack through Protect, they can't attack through Dig. G-Max is over with only +1 in attack, and Dig does about a third of health to them. Returning the favor, Urshifu lands their close combat on the Gag, who went down happy they could do this much. All that's left is for Giving to join the fight, completely safe from any single attacks thanks to the Focus Sash, aside from the signature Rapid Strike. But with the chip damage that Gag contributed, our own close combat easily finishes off Mustard's final Pokemon, making us winners of not just the DLC, but also the entire game. So, does the DLC save Pokemon Sword and Shield? Well, to answer that, I've consulted this Wooloo. When playing the DLC along the base game, the content is jam-packed toward the beginning, But once I got to the mid and end game, where it was just gym after gym, the lack of base game story was only more apparent. The Crown Tundra is also really great for a normal playthrough, but again, it doesn't really do much for a Nuzlocke. Maybe if I didn't already have the Wind and Cup in this vid, I would have actually participated in the Galar Star Tournament, but otherwise it was just derivative. Oh, also, there were 2 more gifts at the end. After defeating Glastrier, an old lady in Freezington would have given me a Cosmog. I was tempted to use it, but I felt like using Lunata would have just been boring. Urshifu wasn't boring though, it was fun! Also, after defeating Mustard, his son lets me have a Porygon? I originally thought I would get this in the early game and was very excited to use it, but for some reason it's only available after Mustard's final fight. Like, gee, thanks. But anyway, that's about all I've got for you today. I'd say I'm way less likely to run this DLC again, but if anything, I'll save it for a members-only sequel video or something. I mean, look at this time. Regardless, thank you all so much for watching. Work has been kicking up for me, so I haven't been able to output as much as I like, but I've still got way more things I want to work on and improve. If you liked the video, then please consider leaving a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It helps me out a whole lot. But like I said, that's all I've got for you today. Thank you all again so much for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and have a good one.